Where to begin? Where to begin? Who am I? We're just going to have a little discussion about our nature, our nature, and the nature of the field that we are swimming in. We're going to brush against uh, current events of the day, mm, just in general. We're going to take a look at where we're going. We're going to think about the tools that we have and the the reasons why it is nothing but hope and nothing but possibilities in front of us always. We may think of them as problems; they're actually opportunities. Um, but how do we unpack this? Who am I? What is my nature? What is the object of the exercise? Um, what is my design? What is the nature of the medium that I am swimming in? What are the laws of the universe? What's the point of the whole thing? What's the meaning of my life? What is the meaning of this moment in time? Who are we? Who are we? Who am I specifically? And that's all very interesting. And each and every one of us has a beautiful, vastly um, interesting, completely different take on who am I specifically. The who are we, that's a different story. That one we are all part of. Um, and we're going to talk about what that means in this Trump moment. What is happening? Not necessarily specifically, but in general, we're just going to talk about where we are in this moment in time. We'll see what I can get to because there's a lot to think about. And what I'm actually doing is this whole show is an exercise in me trying to pull everything meaningful into a nutshell so that I can hand it to you and say, hey, look at this integrated wholeness. Look at this lens. Take that and go out and look at the world now. Does it make more sense to you? So, who am I? Who am I? How does this work? So, one of the most meaningful things to understand in all of this has to do with let's imagine our own design. Actually, all of what we're doing is an exercise in imagination. It's none of it is really hardcore specific. You are allowed to take the specific yourself. And actually, Nassim Haramein's work is all very specific. So I'm going to generally take you into people's work, and then, their specifics will. Anyway, who am I? Who am I? I am a vibrational being in a vibrational universe, and you are too, and we all are, and everything is. Now, because the universe is vibrational, so every one of us and everything around is vibrational in this vibrational universe. Now, that's important because you have an aspect of you. How do how do I unpack this? There are two of you. As you stand there, even in your physical shoes, there are two of you. And the one of you is standing wholly with you in your physical shoes. And the other one is there and it includes everything else too. That's your source based self. You are two selves. You are two flows of energy and information, and two scales of this energy and information. One of you is a constricted focus, a smaller self, a specific lens onto the specific field immediately around where you are. And the other self, and these are both you, by the way, they really are. And when you start identifying with the other person, you start realizing how true that is. And when you don't identify with the other person, you have no way of realizing how that other one is actually you. It's you, but it's you at a different level. And so we're going to talk about who we are and how to make sense of the whole thing. Because this binary nature is not just yours, it's everybody's. Trump has this binary nature. All of us have this binary nature. And quite frankly, to quote Khalil Gibran, I'm not sure what work. Um, I had thought it was in the Prophet, but I'm not sure. I don't think it's in the Prophet. Um, the quote is, "Your neighbor is your unknown self made visible." Your neighbor is your unknown self made visible. And I'm not just talking about your nice neighbor, I'm talking about your asshole neighbor too. Stephen Miller is our unknown self made visible. Trump is our unknown self made visible. And he is a reflection of us. Now, I'm going to disavow it, because I'm not Trumpian. I'm a freaking libtard. So I don't need to own him, right? Yes, I do. Because I am America. And I'm not just America. Even if you aren't American, you're going to need to own Trump too, because we are humanity. That's who we really are. We are humanity. And that is one of our big, well, I was about to talk about flows of energy and information, but actually, what I was really referring to was a morphogenetic field of, because I think there are big scales of this that are important. The Planck level and then the universal level. There are scales of this information flow all the way up the line. You go from the quantum all the way down to the Planck, where the Plancks are exchanging their information. Not just with each other, around each other, although they are doing that. They are exchanging their information with the wholeness of the whole universe across the universe, because they're all the amount of time it takes for all of the Plancks to exchange for the information of one side of the universe to get all the way to the other side of the universe, and all of the Plancks to have exchanged their information both amongst each other and amongst the entire thing, is the amount of time it takes one proton to take one spin. That's how long it takes for all the information to transfer, and it's doing that boom, 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 boom. We live in a holographic universe, and that really matters. It's really important. And what's actually happening, and you got to use your imagination to see this, and go into your own structure and use your mind's eye to look at your mind's eye. It's really very cool, very convoluted, very right there at the singularity. You can see this. Who you are is two beings. Now, these two beings, uh, I call them two beings, but that sounds like they are two beings when you say it that way, when they are actually one being. It's you. You are this self that consists of these two aspects. And, you can think of them as two beings because, in a way, they are independent. One of them is independent. Well, actually, neither one of them are really independent, but they can they can separate from each other in perspective, One is kind of independent of the other one. The other one is sitting there being the allness, being everything, being all that is true, recording and exchanging the information of everything. That is your allness self. Who am I? Who am I? And so what is going on with us politically? Well, how does all of this, I promise it's going to connect, and it's also going to shine a light on how to get out of this ridiculous situation we find ourselves in, people. We are humanity. I am America also, but I'm not just America, I am humanity. And you are humanity. We are all humanity. And humanity has this particular this design that is both myself individually, but then I have a collective self where my we self includes you. I am we. I am me, I am we. I am me, I am we. And we all know this. This is all like baby stuff in a way. People are turning off my channel right now going, is that what you're talking about? Well, but it goes deeper than this. It goes much deeper than this. This is the answer to your own emotions, your own emotional puzzle, and the puzzle of what the hell is everybody around me doing? Have they lost their minds? And what is the meaning of this authoritarian psychosis moment that is happening with both the grip of the MAGA, who won't seem to let go of hailing the dear leader as some sort of mystic, phenomenon? They're going to take him all the way down to the last gasp. His problem is that he's got dementia and he's got malignant narcissism, which we're going to talk about, by the way, in a positive, not a positive like we like this thing, but in a positive like we're going to understand this thing so that we can move past it. Because I actually believe that that is what is happening right now. This is a last gasp of something that we have been dealing with forever. You can find it in the Bible. You can find it in recorded history. It's just everything. It's the pharaoh. It's the king. It's the cult leader. It's the religious wackadoo leader. It's the it's the thing that human beings do. We need to generally, as human beings, understand our own psychology. Just in general ways, you don't have to understand it, like you don't have to have all of the Latin jargon, for every whatever standardized and then, all according to the manual, which, it isn't standardized and people don't really get it anyway. So understanding it generally is enough. Understand it in the sense that you are two selves, and the one self knows. Just know that part of you, you are walking with an aspect of yourself that knows who you are, knows where you stand, knows what you care about, knows what you feel, knows what you know, knows why you are angry, knows why you are sad, knows why you are powerful, knows why you know the answer. Because this aspect is you, and this aspect knows. But you have another self, and this is the one you actually know about. This is the one you're more familiar with. This is your analytical mind. The other one was your intuitive mind, as Einstein spoke of. The intuitive mind as the sacred gift, the analytical mind as the faithful servant. The analytical mind is really the only one we mostly know because we don't talk about this intuitive mind. Who is it? What is my structure? Well, think of yourself as two flows of energy and information, your macro and your micro flow. Your macro flow is your higher self. It's your everything self. It's your holographic self. How is this holographic self expressed? Vibrationally. Right where you are, vibrationally, you possess the information of the entire universe from where you are, emanating, jiggling from where you are. But it includes everything. It just is the information pinging from your position on the grid. Now, everyone else has access to the exact same information, except they're experiencing it from their position on the grid. That's the only thing that makes it different. Now, it's different enough. If you actually start talking to people, you'll realize, oh my God, everybody has had a wildly different life. Even start talking to people who live in the same neighborhood, maybe who even lived in the same house, your brothers and your sisters, your mother, your father, people who would be the closest to you, closest to your belief system, closest to your experience, your circle of experience, and all of that. And you find that even they had wildly different experiences. You know, they went in completely different ways. They married different people at different times, had different children. Their parents were in a different stage of their parental experience. I was the baby of the family. I had completely different parents than the parents of the middle children and the parents of the first one as they were first, getting started and so full of hope and dreams and ideas about what the truth was. And then by the time I came along, they were harried, tired, involved in a zillion other things because we had taken on, four of my first cousins too because of what happened with my aunt. She died of lupus. She got sick and died, and the father was anyway. That I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but things had changed by the time I came along. Well, they by the time I grew up. They joined us when I was 4, so I had already come along. But anyway, the point is we all have wildly different experience in this framework of practically the same because I am the whole universe, except with the one exception of I am the whole universe from where I stand, and you are the whole universe. And the only exception is you are from where you stand, and look at us, we're wildly different. The universe is a really, really cool place, and actually understanding this universe is going to be the key to getting to the bottom of our problems, getting to the other side of our problems, and understanding this moment in time. Understanding our nature is going to help us understand this moment in time. Because if we are all indeed this vibrational wholeness that I am talking about, this universal mind, this universal experience, there is only one thing happening, and it's all connected to itself. It's not wildly, I talk about this wildly different. I have this wildly different life than you did. Well, wildly, yes, but in a way, it's all connected. My life is not separate from your life. And the experience of this abundance, this grid of abundance, and this co creative experience of relationship and object, like objective experience and goals and all that kind of stuff. They're not disconnected from one another. We all do better when we all do better. And my vibrational inner being, turns out, is in absolute concert with your vibrational inner being. As a matter of fact, they are the same inner being. It's like there's only one God. But my inner being is the interface of this great informational flow that we call the G word, the one that knows who and what we are, what we're doing. And I'm going to tell you how this works, how it can be true, how it can be logically true that this G thing exists, that we live in an almighty, interactive, interconnected vibrational energy field that is responding to itself and each other. And it is all part of this binary system that you are. And so actually, at the end of the day, and at the end of this whole thing, we're going to discover that the key to me, for instance, I'm very interested in the outside world, and I would love to go out and fix that authoritarian psychosis thing going on right now. I would love to, just tell people what they're actually looking at so that they will respond appropriately to it. And we can easily get past this and never be fooled again by it. That's my goal. That is my wish. That is my hope for, that's just what I'm doing. When you understand what your design is, and then when you understand that, oh, that's everybody else's design too, and then you start looking at everybody's actions and your own, then it all starts making sense to you. And you realize that the only thing you ever needed to take care of, I mean, I'm very interested in that outside picture. But even so, the key to me unlocking my helpfulness to that outside picture is still me getting into alignment with my two selves. I am two selves. You are two selves. And these two selves, I'm going to tell you how you're going to be able to look at them. Think of them as two apertures. Two apertures looking out on the world. One is a very, very wide lens. It's actually, as I knock things over, it's a very wide lens. It is aware of everything around you that has any relevance to you, and everything in the bigger frame that also has relevance to you. It recognizes. So what am I talking about? I am sure that the universe is made of consciousness. And that what we're talking about, on the one hand, is materiality, and then on the other hand, consciousness of materiality. And these two aspects are inseparable from one another. You can't have materiality without consciousness of it. You can't have consciousness without something to be conscious of. And you can't have something that consciousness isn't aware of, because all of the somethings are exchanging their information of somethingness every Planck instant. How are they doing this? They're doing it vibrationally as the Plancks are jiggling amongst themselves. And the way I imagine this is every Planck instant, the information of every Planck is uploading to the whole as all of the Plancks are touching one another. They're all interacting with one another, and they are uploading their. So I'm a little Planck, and I'm jiggling, and in my jiggle, I add to the interference pattern of the whole. And within this interference pattern of the whole is contained all of the information of everything. It's just like a conventional hologram. And I'm going to, let me swing my other microphone over here because I think it's going to be the one that's going to take over here in just a second. What if I changed my screen to I had a couple of things. I could do this one. Cam, what does all that have to do with anything? Well, the thing is the universe is a hologram. And I'm not saying that it's being projected from somewhere else. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that everywhere, all over the universe, all of the information exists everywhere, just like a hologram, just like that apple, where if you take that apple, you cut it in half, shine the laser beam back through it, and the whole information, the whole apple is still there. You cut that hologram in half, and you don't now get a picture of half an apple. It's just a slightly less resolute picture of the whole apple. It's still the whole apple. And that's in that manner, the universe is a hologram. All of the information is everywhere. And you can cut it and splice it and do whatever you want, but all of the information is still there. And what that is implying is consciousness. It's implying that the the universe is aware of itself. How can it not be? And when you hear spiritual leaders talk about your inner being, for instance, I love the way Abraham Hicks talks about the inner being, the vibrational universe, and the inner being. She's absolutely correct about all of this. You were source energy before you came into your physical body, and the larger part of you is still this source energy aspect of you, which is your vibrational, informational information of the whole universe self, your inner being self, the one who knows who you are, where what you want is, the one who is tending your vortex of creation. And all you have to do in order to experience your vortex of creation with your inner being is allow it. Go get into the same vibration she is in, and all of her blessings will spill out to you. And what is the vibration she's in? She's in a vibration of peace, of knowingness, of allowing, of love, of understanding the value of all things, of not wanting to subtract things that bother you, but rather sitting in a place where she understands what the problem is and what would fix it. And so I've been trying really hard to find where my inner being has been thinking. What is she thinking about? What does she care about? What is she looking at? You know, if she's not worried about this authoritarian psychosis moment, I guess I don't need this over here anymore. My road is the only um, source that's been tagged into um, some of my scenes in my OBS studio. So I have to bring my microphone back over here if I want to talk about. So actually, I don't need the boom anymore. That's interesting. This works better. So who am I, and how does all this tag back to this historic moment that we find ourselves in? And it is indeed a historic moment, and it's real too. This is really going on. I mean, the world has turned sideways. My eyeballs are spinning. I On the one hand, I want to be anxious and afraid, but on the other hand, all of this spiritual information that I've been working on for the last 5 years, for the last 10 years, for the last 50 years, for the last 60, for my whole entire life, is circling back around and tagging back in and being like, this is why you've been looking at this. This is why you've been thinking about this. This is why this is important. Everybody who ever studied the rise and fall of the Third Reich, everyone whoever studied um, human psychology, authoritarian regimes, cult um, cults. I know that there's people who are now starting to get online in podcasts rather like this with their experience. I was listening to one the other day. His bona fides or bona fides or however you want to say that word, come from having been in a cult and been extracted from a cult decades ago and then studied the phenomenon, for all these years. It all tags back. It's all very interesting. And MAGA is a cult. Trump is a cult. And there is an interesting analogy. Go watch there's two shows on Netflix that encapsulate a lot of this. I've been studying this whole phenomenon, morbidly fascinated by it for my whole life, although not obsessively so. I think about a lot of things. So it was just something that I tagged into in the 80s, read a number of books about during a voracious reading period time of my life when I was gobbling up all kinds of information. I was seeking heavily what the hell is going on around me because I don't understand my world. And I gobbled up a couple of books about um, studied Idi Amin because we lived in Kenya for a couple of years while he was in power next door. That was all very interesting. Um, I was a Mormon, so I studied. I don't know why I'm doing this. It's because I want to assure the audience that I have my own bona fides, even though I don't know how to say the word. It's because I've mostly read this word. And there's probably a correct way to say it, and then there's an Americanized way to say it, both being correct in their way, and I'm probably slaughtering both of them, and I'm sorry. But I do have my own bona fides, and you do too. We all do. We're all here for a reason. The great organizer has brought us here for a reason, and what we're supposed to be doing is each of us is supposed to be fleshing out our own specialty, whatever that is. And you've got to go inside of yourself to find it for you. Find what you want. Find what you care about. Find where the light of your imagination and your interest and your feelings, where does that shine? What do you care about? And then I'm going to tell you it's going to be really important. You need to understand the configuration of your own emotions. You need to understand what they are. So your emotions are actually a blending of your two selves that I keep trying to tell you that you are two selves. One is pure vibrational energy that is just like it's the vibrational information of the whole universe. It is 0 point energy and it is everywhere. It is being created by all of the Plancks everywhere all the time because it's every Planck time at the same time are vibrating their energy and information. So what would they be? What kind of energy and information are they transmitting? Things like their location on the grid. I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. That's what every Planck oscillator is at least saying. I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. But then also I'm moving in this direction, this vector direction at this speed, and my temperature is so my velocity, my temperature, my vector direction, my who's playing nearby me. Well, that's what the wholeness is extrapolating. It's taking all of these vibrational inputting parts, uploading their information and adding it all together into this almighty wholeness. Now you're doing that too. Actually, you are many, 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 many creatures yourself, all being one creature. Because you are not inanimate, you are not made of inanimate building blocks. You're made of cells, and every one of them is an individual, an autonomous, pleasure-seeking, um, life-seeking, comfort-seeking, food-seeking, self-seeking individual. And somehow together you are a concert of some 50 trillion or more of these individuals working together to create your life and your health. How does that do that? I'll tell you how it does it. Each and every cell is tagged into source, and source is the vibrational information of the whole thing. And so every cell is, while it is self-serving, it is never crossing source. Now that's what human beings do all the time. They cross source all the time. They cross source inside of themselves, outside of themselves. We're source crossing demons. We really are. And there's a reason for that. That is our step one mission. But we need to get out of step one. We need to get out of our demonic self. We need to get into our angelic form. We need to understand these two aspects of ourself. What creates the positive, negative? What is this energy? What is the order that we seek? What is the order that we seek? There is a divine order that we seek. And if we can find our tag to this divine order, then this other unholy bullshit will quit rising its ugly head and plaguing us all. Just when we thought we had it licked, just when we thought the United States perhaps, well, we called ourselves the leader, but in a way we were the opposite. We're the anti-leader. We are both. We are the view of this whole thing is so freaking interesting. When you get your imagination lined up in the right way and you start imagining what reality actually is and who you are in it and how it functions, how manifesting works, all of that stuff. There's all this stuff on the internet right now about manifestation and people telling you the secret to manifestation. And the universe has got your back and it's all working with you, um, and that's true. All of that is true. Um, but this understanding of your own configuration is key to this, and getting yourself lined up in a forward facing, in alignment position, and then now going out and dealing with the world, you'll be so much more effective. You'll be so much more, it'll be so much smoother of a ride. Because I'm telling you, when you don't understand your two selves and you get to flowing in the opposite direction of, you get your little self gets in the opposite direction of how your bigger self is flowing, you get crosswise to your own energy right up close, right where you are, and that stream will beat you up, will beat you to shreds. But if you understand who you are and get flowing in the direction of who you are with yourself, in harmonic resonance with yourself, and then now turn out to the outside world and start selecting experiences and focus and interest and such with things that resonate with who you really are, instead of being always morbidly fascinated by things that dissonate with who you are. You don't want your, yeah, okay. So it's all about resonance and dissonance, resonance and dissonance, resonance with what and dissonance with what? Your greater self, your two selves. Are they resonating, or are they, have they parted ways, you might say? Well, one of those selves you have no control over, except for the limited control that you have through your individual self. You have that, but otherwise, it is what it is. It's everything else. It's you plus everything else that isn't you. That's what the Almighty is. Turns out it's all you. So that's okay. So all of that part that is all of you that isn't you, there isn't anything there that isn't you, because it's all you. And it's all me from where I stand. It's all you from where you stand. It's all him from where he stands. And all of this added together equals the universe that we live in, the multiverse that we live in. Oh, so how does this work? Your higher self, your greater self, your source-based self, your vibrational self, your allness self. Surprise, surprise, surprise. I did not know this, actually. Abraham was the one that let me know this one. Your higher self is actually having thoughts. Thoughts about the world, thoughts about what's interesting, thoughts about what could be, thoughts about, beauty and interest and all of that. With you and others. With everybody. I mean, it's the whole thing. The whole thing is alive, and you are part of this universal conscious thing, this universal consciousness thing. You have a tag into it through your own consciousness. And when you, in your small self, think thoughts that resonate with what the kinds of thoughts that your larger self is having all the time. Now, your larger self, I'll tell you the kinds of thoughts that your larger self has. Your larger self is never afraid of anything. What would it be afraid of? There's nothing for it to be afraid of, because it is the whole thing. It is the Planck field that can become anything it wants to through the mechanism of this vibrational universe and collective desire and collective cooperation to achieve this collective desire. That's how the field works. And so there isn't anything to be afraid of. It's like your inner being knows who you are, knows who you were a minute ago, who you were 5 minutes ago, an hour ago, a day ago, last year, a century ago, a million years ago. Your inner being knows not just who you were and are and all this, but what everything else is doing and being, knows what the rules of the universe are, knows that it's eternal and that nothing can from that frame, you can see it. From that frame, there is nothing to be afraid of. Why would you be afraid at that frame? At that frame, you are the whole universe and you are here forever and you can do, be, or have anything that you want. You just have to line up with it. Line what up with it? Line your two selves up with it. And so in a way, you can leave everybody else out of the equation because they are already in the equation. When you line yourself up with you, that other you already contains everybody. So when you play nice with you, you are already playing nice with the rest of the field. But you've got to really understand what playing nice with you means. You can't be in a state of negative emotion and be in alignment with yourself because your true self would never be in negative emotion. Your negative emotions are things like fear, revenge, guilt, shame, revenge. Why would your inner being ever look at anything from those frames? Wouldn't. Doesn't. And when you do, you split from her guidance. And so the trick is, as soon as you start going into negative territory, what has taken you there is a thought has taken you there. Your analytical brain's thought in this moment does not match the frequency of my higher self. Now, that's a big ask, but not really. When you understand who we really are and what our default setting is and what we're actually here for and what the object of the exercise is and what are the secret ingredients that are going to actually take us out of this terrible wilderness that we find ourselves in, where we think that our continued well-being depends upon this United States staying coherent. Well, thank God it doesn't, because this United States is not staying coherent. But something bigger and higher and better is going to the wonderful aspects of the United States that had never fully been realized in any way. Those are going to stay. But some of the other things, some of the other conditional aspects of the United States that really were never in alignment to begin with, those things are going to go away. And the reason that they're going to go away is because they were never in alignment to begin with. We need to rebuild from a state of pure alignment, because when we don't, we weave Shiva energy. This is my own thought. This is my own jargon to express it in this way. We weave Shiva energy or demonic energy or Loki energy, and I use the three so that you can see that it's just that energy of chaos as expressed from three different religious perspectives. I'm sure that there are other perspectives that you could use to express that counter order, the counter spin of the loving order. that runs counter to the divine organization that plows through our good work and lays bare institutions that we spent 250 years working on. Why did that happen? Well, why it happened is because in the beginning, you need to build them with a pure foundation. The foundation needs to be pure intention, the pure intention in alignment with what our inner being is interested in, not the vested interests of our analytical self, who is all kinds of afraid about, its vulnerability and such. We need to build our systems in pure alignment with our true selves, not from the vested interest self. Although, in actual fact, there is a place where our pure intention and our vested interests align. And when we find that point of alignment, that's where we build our institutions. And then 250 years from now, an autocrat does not tear them down because they weren't filled with inadequacies that were not serving humanity. When we build things out of alignment, they do not fully serve humanity. And when humanity is not served, he becomes demonic. When fear turns into terror and desperation, when a mother cannot feed her children, there are all kinds of things, all kinds of manner of wickedness that she will perform in order to make sure that her and her family gets a good life. And on the one hand, we can call it greed and we can be upset about it. But on the other hand, we can just get real. We all want to be comfortable. We all want to be free. We all want to choose a path more of our own liking. We want to be free to choose what we want to do in this world. And you know what? We're getting close to being able to do that. But we need to quit resisting everything that is trying to come to us to help us. Do you know that automation and AI are here to help us? They are absolutely here to serve humanity. But depending on how we address this, we're either going to get them serving humanity or we're going to get a big fat shit sandwich full of what we don't want with this, depending on how we deal with it. If we saw ourselves, if all of us saw ourselves as humanity. Now, you might say, well, that's all well and fine, girl. I see myself as humanity, but you know what? My administration right now sees me as, hold on, I'm going to sneeze. Garbage that needs to be, I sneezed, a garbage that needs to be taken out. We need to take out the trash out to that garbage heap in El Salvador or whatever, where we get rid of the worst, the people that we don't want, the takers. If we would just clean this country out of all the brown takers, all the people who shouldn't legally be here, if only the people who were legally supposed to be here that were here taking the resources, then there would be plenty for everybody. And so we've got to get rid. And this is a deep misunderstanding of our nature, of reality, of actually what's going on, of where abundance comes from, of who we actually are. This is a gross misread of it, and that's why I feel compelled to get on this show and have this little discussion with y'all about what it means to be humanity. You cannot just throw me away. Don't throw me away. We cannot throw anybody away. I cannot throw MAGA away. MAGA cannot throw me away. Well, they wouldn't actually want to throw me away, except for the fact that I'm a libtard. because I'm white, I'm American. Both of my parents' genealogical lines have been done for hundreds of years because I'm Mormon too, and so I can trace my lineage and my legal citizenship back quite a ways. I didn't just get here, and I don't just have papers. On the other hand, I've had people dislike me and not know me because they thought I was Native American. Oh, I don't like her. She's Native American. That was a terrible neighbor that I had for just a minute. So, my take on all of that is we can't throw anybody away. I cannot throw, and quite frankly, we can't throw Trump and his people away either. What we have to do is think of them as a cult, and we've got to get them to snap out of it. But the way we get them to snap out of it is we need to understand ourselves. Where's this cult thing coming from? What is this thing? Well, Paul Levy calls it Wetiko, and it's a peculiar aspect of our psychology. And it comes up because the world is not the logical, actually, it's incredibly logical. But our emotions are logical, Mr. Spock. Thank you very much. Our dreams are logical. Our self is logical. Our structure is logical. You can logically imagine it. You can put it together in your mind. You can mathematically see these Planck oscillators as they, on the edge of jiggling into either they're going to be the center of a spin themselves, although for them to start a center of their own spin, I think probably takes big events like stars, like exploding, big bangs exploding, big things like that can create elements. I don't know whether anything but our Big Bang creates the protons. The Big Bang probably created the protons. And the lifespan of a proton is roughly 10 to the 35 billion years. 10 to the 35, whatever number that is. That many billion years. That is the life of a proton. It will dissolve by the end of that by means of Hawking radiation. It will. Until then, so I don't want to get sidetracked here because I'm on the way to actually having a fairly good show. I really want to circle around and pull all of this back in. All of this connects, and it connects to our moment in physical current events time. It has to do with this Trump moment, with Trump having taken over the United States government. Well, he took it over by the ballot box. But he has taken it over, and why this psychosis still grips us. It has to do with our nature. It has to do with the movement of energy. It has to do with this binary system that we are. It has to do with our emotions and what resonates with what has happened. What MAGA is actually a field of resonance with our shadow self, our negative self. But of course, every one of the actual MAGA individuals doesn't just have a negative self. They have actually mostly are a positive self. So how do you understand this? You know, because in a way, you've got all of this whole energy field of grievance and anger and noticing that things aren't the way you want them to be and noticing things that are, whatever. That's what negative emotion is. All of that. You've got this field of this shadow negative resonance in a group of people who, in some instances, many of these people, they come together spiritually all the time. Their loving self comes together spiritually all the time, and yet they are still resonating with one another in this negative field. What is this? What is this, and how do we get past this? How do we understand what's going on? How do we really understand what's going on so that we don't ever do this again? You could assassinate Trump, and I don't suggest doing that. Please don't do that, because we are in a absolute hydra moment. You lop off the head of MAGA, you lop off Trump right at this moment, and 10 stronger ones, way more focused, way less demented, way more able to focus their lens of the shadow so that all these people are going to resonate with it, and this resonant frequency of negativity is going to layer upon itself. We are going to end up with a bad situation. Whereas right now, we actually stand a chance of getting past this, because the goofball that is at the head of this one is so clumsy, so obvious, so demented that he keeps accidentally saying the secret parts right out loud. Whereas there are others who might carry this flag who would carry it more deftly, more nuancedly, and carry it way farther down the field than this one is going to carry it. Because he's still speaking to a whole generation of people who are still here, who were alive and well during the last great resistance and pushback and iteration of our government. I'm talking about the boomers, of course, the ones who pushed back against the Nixon administration and the Vietnam War and the whole war machine of the United States government being hurled against something somewhere in stupid ways, which is what is happening again. And it's not just stupid, it's bald, greedy. It's bald and greedy on one hand, as the grifter mob boss gives the political party what he thinks they've been asking for, but they've been pussyfooting for 40 years and not saying the quiet part out loud. And Trump just comes right in and says, "That's what you want? I'll just give it to you." And he just says all, and it's all out in the open now. And that's why this moment is important. Because now that it's all out in the open, now all of us who have the eyes who can see it, we can all see it now. And now what are we going to do about it? Well, the thing is do you really see it? Do you really see that what it actually is a reflection of ourselves? It's a reflection of ourselves, and we are going to have to take our country back. Yes, we're going to have to take our government back. That's absolutely true. But we don't just take it back for it to be the way it was, back when, we take it on down the road where this, because America has never actually fulfilled its promise. It's never actually been a country of all men are created equal. And we are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. But that is the promise that we're all going to have to step up to. We're going to have to step up to what America was, what the dream of America was founded about. And the liberty and justice for all is going to be, and this is all human beings are created equal. And we want liberty and justice for all of us, one nation under God, and we haven't been doing that. Right now, unfortunately, our government is carrying a philosophy that is antithetical to that vision I just said, because they have a different view. They believe that instead of all people being created equal, all people are totally not created equal. There are those who have good genes, and they're created much better than the ones who don't have such good genes. And those ones who don't have such good genes, we need to put them in menial positions to begin with. We need to identify them somehow. We need to disappear them and make them go away. Now, whether you think that those ones who aren't as good are, whether you think that they're Jews or Slavs or retards or um, elderly, or I don't know, or whether you think they are just immigrants without papers, or maybe even now it's immigrants with papers, because it's actually people who, it's racism, of course, subtle and not subtle, but it's more than that. It's a subtle philosophy that says, to begin with, there are some people who are better than others, inherently better than others. And then there are the worst of the worst. There's those who are not as good, and then there's less and less and less good, and then there's the worst, and then there's the worst of the worst, and it kind of goes in a spectrum, right? And if you believe that, and there's a lot of religions that encourage that belief. You start out as a creature born unworthy, in sin, drenched in human frailty and human failing. And you've got to prove your worth to God and your country. And if you don't prove your worth, then we're going to doze you out of here. There's that kind of spirit going on, and I think this is the one we need to push back against. This is really the one we need to push back against, because it's going to try to take out all of the autistic ones. It's going to try to take out all of the special ones. It's going to take out all of the, and try to just clear the way for just a few of the special people, and then all of the rest of them that are serving the special people. And that's the kind of order that we're instituting. Well, we don't want that kind of order. That's not the order that we want. There's a different kind of order that we want. And ultimately, my show is going to be talking about the order that we want, as opposed to the order that we don't want. And we're in that moment where everybody hold your breath, because we're either going to make this leap or we're not. And it's not a given. I'm going to do everything I can from this unconditional position to try to help us make this leap. But we are either going to make the leap into our loving, blessed freedom, order of freedom and synchronicity, or we're going to devolve into Holocaust, because that's That's kind of the spectrum. Goes from Holocaust to synchronicity. That's the extremes that we're facing. You get to the extreme of the one thought form when you believe that people are that there's some people that are better than others, and so that there's some people that are way better than everybody else, and they get all the good stuff. They get the billion-dollar yachts and the private islands and all of the comforts and the power. They get the say-so. They get to decide who to put in charge of all the committees to decide how to organize the rest of the world, because they're the ones that I trust, and I'm the best of the best. I can see it, you can't, so I'm going to be the one in charge. We keep doing this. The order that we're trying to get to is this free order where everyone is trusted to follow their own impulses and to follow their own, because we're actually allowed to follow our own success, to design our own success. We are allowed to do that. You are allowed to succeed, and you are allowed to succeed wildly. The trick is, you are not just your single self. You are also everybody else. I am the whole field. And so I can't really be said to succeed unless the field is succeeding more. And so, however, from an individual standpoint, you don't actually have to figure it out for everybody else in the field. All you have to do is get into alignment with what you know. And what do you know? You know everything. You know everything that you need to know. And so you can trust yourself. Trust your inner being. Get into alignment with your inner being and ask her, what do I do? And you don't have to sacrifice yourself. It may come to that, but at first you should try doing something else for the whole. Instead of sacrificing for the whole, be yourself for the whole. Find yourself for the whole. Find your joy. Find your mission, your purpose, and radiate that out. And as you do so, your alignment affects the world around you. Be in alignment for the world around you. Do that. And if in your alignment that tells you to do something that sacrifices yourself, so be it. But don't do it unless it's in alignment. Just be in alignment. And from that place of alignment, everything that you do feels okay. Because that's one of the main characteristics of being in alignment, is it feels okay. It feels safe. It feels purposeful. It feels... That's how you can tell you're in alignment. Pay attention to how you feel. If that thought that you're having is making you feel bad, don't think that thought. If you need to keep looking at that subject, then just find a different angle to look at that same subject. If you were obligated somehow to look in that direction, then just take a different tack. Back out, come at it from a different angle. If you still need to look at the riots, but you're having a hard time looking at it from a place of, blaming yourself or blaming your neighbor or whatever because that's making you feel bad, then back out and come at it from another direction. So what direction do you come at it from? Well, back out altogether from that subject, probably. Go find something that you care about. Find that vibration of love and security and hope and interest, and then figure out how to bring that vibration over to look at that subject. I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy, but you can. You can, because I have done this and I know you can do it. So look at the world right now, look at the situation that we find ourselves in on planet Earth. We've got a lot of problems right now. I have my own president just bombed Venezuela and stole their oil. And he thinks that it's going to be just fine, that we're just going to, set up Exxon and, whatever, BP, whoever, maybe not BP because they're British, uh, set up the oil companies, and they're going to probably funnel millions of dollars, billions of dollars they could handle, handing over to President Trump because of, I don't know. Mm, 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 mm. We have ecological problems all over the planet. We have social problems. We have economic problems here in this country. We're going to have supply chain problems here. We've got image problems around the world because the rest of the free world just watched us shift allegiance. And what we just did is we just lined up. According to Heather Cox Richardson, and I understand what she's saying, and she speaks to a lot of people who have her ear. She just pointed out how we just lined up with a different order, a different spirit of order, this idea of spheres of influence, as opposed to a spiritual world order based on the autonomy of small countries, that they don't, it's not okay for the big fish in the pond to come by and gobble up the little fish. The small players have a right to their autonomy, and that it is not okay for us to barrel in there and kidnap their admittedly horrible leader. But still, we're not allowed to do that. Our autocrat is not allowed to go take out their autocrat. And yet we just did that, and so now I'm part of. I, he just involved me, and now I have got to speak up because the rest of the world is going to be looking at my country, going, "WTF did you just do?" And I'll be like, "I didn't do that. I'm a libtard. I don't like him. I don't agree with him." And I don't believe in his philosophy that there are some of us who are better than others. We are all in this together, and we are all as good as one another. And I'll tell you why some of us look better than others. It has nothing to do with their innate worth or value. It has to do with their alignment. Those who are not in alignment sometimes look they look terribly chaotic. They might be ugly, dirty, frightening, spinning out of control. They're doing desperate things because they are not capable of manifesting. They don't know how to manifest what they need or want to themselves in this world. They are thinking conditionally. They imagine that the world is primarily, that the primary aspect or characteristic of this world is conditional, and it's not. The primary condition of this world is vibrational. The secondary condition of this world is conditional. And we've got to learn to get that in the correct order, and then we can understand how to manifest, how to approach this world in faith and trust, knowing who you are and how it works, and how you can summon what you need from this matrix that we are all a part of. You can get the world to come to you and bring to you what you need. I think that there's a couple of secrets: knowing who you are and wanting what you need. instead of wanting things that you don't need. Wanting what you don't need is an expression of misalignment. It's a misalignment between your two selves because your greater self wants what you need, wants what you need, and wants what you want. Wants what you want, but knows what you need. And the needs come first and the wants come second, and it's in alignment, it's in order. I get that clean air and clean water first, and then I look around for a good place to sleep, and after that, what am I going to eat? And anyway, this comes from Bashar's 7 things that we need, that physically, just get real about this. 7 things that you need to keep your biological self going. And I want to keep my biological self going, especially as long as I feel like I have, I'm looking at my time hack. Oh my God, I'm an hour and 20 minutes in. I have had a long show. I want to keep going at this. And one of these days soon, perhaps as soon as I have any, okay, I will do a seminar the day that I have a listener that listens to my little Who Am I show that nobody listens to. I mean, I get 1 or 2 listeners, eventually on every show I put out. I'm wondering whether that listener is my brother or whether it's somebody else. Is it a fan or is it a family member? Just making sure that I haven't gone over the deep end, making sure that I'm still, my toes are touching the ground still. I don't know. But as soon as I have a fan that puts in my comment session, do your seminar, I will listen to it. That's all you have to do. Say that, and I will do it. I will set aside a whole day, and you don't have to listen to it live. I can even do it live. I can do it live if you want me to. And if you dare me, then I for sure I will. Absolutely. Then I'll turn it on in the morning and I will do 10 hours. I'll do a 10-hour seminar and I'll start at the beginning. And by the end of the day, hopefully I will have covered every point that adds every point in so that you completely understand yourself, your own mechanism, um, um, uh, manifestation, physical manifestation, the matrix. You understand 0 point energy. You understand the black hole structure of the universe, the multiverse. This nested Russian doll kind of nested universe in scales. What the scales of this universe are: the subplonk, the Planck, the universe. How the energy and information is being exchanged. All of this you will understand. You will know yourself and you will understand history. You will look at your current events and you'll go, oh, I get it. I get it. And I am humanity. That's who I am. And not only that, we're going to talk about where humanity may have come from. I mean, I don't specifically know where. I just know that we are genetically modified, and there's no way that that could have happened except that somebody from some other planet hundreds of thousands of years ago did this to us. And that's why we are so different. That's why we have to consciously work our equipment and consciously manifest the world that we want. We can't just let it happen because negativity takes us into weird places. When we don't understand ourselves, our design takes us into very bizarre realms. And so with that, I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave you with that. I'll be back tomorrow, almost undoubtedly. I'm starting to have fun with this again. And that fun is the key. Fun is the key to everything because it tells you, it lets you know that you have sparked something inside your own soul. Your desire has to be involved. It has to be involved. If we're going to make our way away from the end of the spectrum of Holocaust and make our way to synchronicity, we have to engage our fun, our play, our desire, what we want, what we care about, has to be involved. And so we'll talk about it some more tomorrow, the next day, whatever. I hope you can join me. Until next time, I still need a sign off line. The the best I've done so far, and I'm going to do it again, but I've really got to come up with a better one. May the source be with you.